Hello, this is Eric Postma for Gingerman Editorial again, and the second episode of Coffee Books Repeat. And I am here today with actually one of my oldest collaborators, actually. In fact, Gabriela Medar there is the first stranger who ever hired me for anything, and the one who sort of broke the seal for me on Fiverr. And ever since then, I have just been increasingly busy. So, Gabriela, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Eric, and I do love your introduction. Yes, I'm happy to hear that I was the first one, and I can actually disclose why I like your profile so much.
Well, thank you very much. Apparently it had the desired effect because we've been working together fairly consistently in the 2+ years since.
Of course.
And it's actually been, again, one of my most consistent and actually best working relationships that I've developed while being a freelance editor and writer. So to that note, the very first project that I worked on with you was actually a book on getting hired in specifically in Canada. Now, what prompted you to write that book?
Well, as I'm a career coach and a job facilitator, so I do have experience helping people to find employment in Canada. And due to the fact that I'm an immigrant also, so I moved from Romania over like 5 years ago to Canada, Vancouver. So I do have experience also helping immigrants finding work. So I can say that this project was more like on my bucket list. I didn't want to write a book. I just wanted more to write a guide for new immigrants. And it was my way of helping people like me to just like accommodate and thrive, like as fast as possible after they move to Canada. And just to know like small secrets that sometimes people, they don't disclose. So that's why I needed, like an editor, just because English is my second language. And also, just like to give, like the facade, let's say, of my book, which you did an amazing job.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
And talking from the, like perspective of a career coach, I can say that one of the things that I really liked about you because you were new, so even though I didn't have any, like you didn't have prior work experience or prior experience, same thing like I say to my clients, it's always about the personal touch. So what you done like amazingly and better than anyone else, that you wrote me a cover letter. Like I could see that you read my job posting for what I want, and then you replied back exactly, like to my needs, right? So you responded in a personal way. You made it personal. So you didn't make it like, thank you, sir, or something like this, confusing, like everything about what I want to say. So that was amazing. And that's how actually, we start working together.
Yeah, and I remember you saying that right away. Like one of the reasons that you hired me was because I seemed to be the only one that actually read the job post.
Exactly.
Which was like, oh, so nice to know who my competition is. But yeah, so ever since then, one of the things we've been doing is writing under ghostwriting and everything, is writing just a bunch of different guidebooks and everything that you put out on Amazon. Now, I know you have a host of other writers, and you've got, I have no idea how many things out there on Amazon. And they're all available just as ebooks and everything. I don't believe you do like an on-demand print at all, do you?
I do actually, because Amazon has the opportunity, like create space. So you can, and actually no, I'm like, even Kindle, like they have an options once you publish the book. You can actually order the paper book. But like I've been working with Create Space, which is also like an Amazon company. So it gives you the option to have like the book, like print out by them. And all my books actually, they're like printouts. So.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. I learned something new today. This is good. Okay, so I'm curious. How did you? What made you decide to start with that business model? This model of hiring different people to write these guidebooks and put them out there.
Mm-hmm. Um, well, I don't think that it started actually with my book. It started with writing other books.
Okay.
And the reason is honestly, I was looking for something like a type of online business that fits my 9 to 5 job. So something that I can, like I wanted to do more, I wanted to do extra, but I just didn't have time for a traditional type of business. And I do love what I'm doing at my job, so I just like wanted to expand on something else, something different, and somehow feel it after I started also writing my own book. Just it kind of explained everything how it goes, as a model, right? So and it just made sense for me, and I've been just doing this for the last couple of years.
Yeah, and apparently it's working pretty well since I mean you've stuck with it over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Well, good, good. I mean, I'm glad to hear that it's actually at least
With
somewhat
your help.
successful. Well, thank you. I
With
appreciate
your
that.
help, of course. That's the thing, right? It's just a business model, but it's also, the people who you work with and you collaborate, that's actually the biggest thing that makes successful. So it's not just me doing everything. It's me just like putting a piece there, a piece over there. So here and there. That's it.
Now I'm curious, how difficult is this? How difficult was it for you to essentially set up your own publishing company through
Mhm.
Amazon?
Not difficult at all. That's why everyone is doing it, I feel, these days. So it's a lot of competition in the market. It's very easy to set up the account, and until you start doing a couple of projects and you just start figuring out, it's just a bit technical. But once you figure out everything, and there are so many tutorials and videos free on YouTube that can help you out to start. Basically, I think that all businesses and all e-commerce, anything that is like online these days, you can find all this information, for free. And it's just more just persisting with that, because just publishing one book will not make you an expert, and will not give you any source of passive income, even though you might write a really great book. But as a business model, like, you need to have many books, many good books, right? Not just
Right.
one.
Just for one to be able to break through, because it is a
Yeah,
highly saturated market, like you said.
exactly. And it's also about, like, if anyone is interested in doing Kindle business, of course, the biggest advice that I can say is just like research and know exactly before writing something, if like having a compelling title, and just thinking about like what other people they're really interested in. So that's, beside fiction, because we write like nonfiction,
Hmm.
more like guides and how to type of books. So just information that people they really need, and they don't want to spend ton of time of reading it. So it's not a fiction that will stimulate, your imagination, and that will be very personal, and that's a different type of business.
Oh yeah, totally. I know an awful lot of fiction writers, and I've worked with a lot of fiction writers as part of my editorial business, and it's a completely different thing trying to create a world on the page than it is writing a guidebook. And I have nothing but respect for anyone who's willing to even try it, much less anyone who's able to do it well. Uh, Now you mentioned your day job a couple of times. Uh,
Right.
Now, as I believe you said you do career coaching.
Yes, I'm a career coach, but I'm in Canada. I'm sure that actually it's the same system in the States. So you have these employment centers
Hmm.
funded by government. So like in Canada, they are called work busy centers. So I do work
Hmm.
for a work busy center. Currently I'm on like maternity leave, so you can say it's a break, but it's not. And on the side, I'm still doing, so I have different type of projects that are related to my coaching job and type of business and other community projects. So yeah, I've been in this industry for the last 5 years, so I really enjoy it.
So you jumped into it pretty much right after you immigrated over from Romania.
Yes, I was lucky, like, for sure. I can say that I was lucky and fortunate to just just find the right people that were able to guide me. Back in Romania, I was like a petroleum engineer, and I came here with like clear mindset that I'm not going to go back to that field anymore. So I just didn't want. I wanted. I mean, since I remember, since I was a kid, I always wanted to work in a helping profession, and just to feel like I'm doing something meaningful for people, and just like for me, that was meaningful, right? Helping people to achieve their dream jobs, right? Not any type of job. So making sure that they get exactly the type of job that they want. So it was, I came across a program, and I found people that were just like really nice and just helped me and guided me through the process. So it just came natural. And right after I finished the program, a couple of months later, I just like start working.
Wow.
So yeah.
So you literally just had a pretty good idea of what you wanted to do going in, and basically it's worked out.
It worked out, yes, perfectly. I just like felt that it was just, it was my niche, like just started it. We're just like, yeah, how long have you been working? Just like a couple of months. Oh, really? Just, yeah.
Well,
I think that when you like something, it's just not like, oh, you have to read this or you have to do this. Like you will do like 100% more because it comes from your heart. So, and then you feel like, oh my God, I'm doing this. So I'm just like enjoying it while I'm doing. So I didn't even feel that I was working. I just felt like, oh, you are paying me to do something what I love. That's interesting.
Well, and clearly it clearly comes naturally to you. And even clearly talking about it comes naturally. So yeah, obviously it's a good niche for you. There's no doubt about that. Now I'm curious, what sort of careers and everything have you been able to help guide people into? I mean, they get off the plane, get off the boat, whatever, and they're like, okay, unless they came there specifically for a specific job, they're looking around going, all right, now what?
Yeah, well, maybe in Canada, the process is a bit different. So, I mean, like, true to my job, like, in order to be able to help clients, and I help everyone. So, citizens, permanent residents, so, like, unemployed people. But, like, you need to have a status. So, you need to be a permanent resident somehow. Or if you have a refugee status, like, you need to have, like, legal documents to be,
Right.
like, just to be able to be helped by the government. Otherwise,
Right.
like, no. But I do have other projects where I'm able to help even students, that are here with like a student visa or working visa, people. So, like anyone, basically, even if you're like you came here with like a tourist visa and then you're just like, oh, I'm really looking for work. But that's not my day-to-day job. That's separate, that I'm able to help people because I do see, I see that there are also like lots of other people wanting to look for like good jobs in Canada, but they don't receive any government support. So it's different. So then I can provide, right, for them. I can help. Just all sorts of jobs, right? So all sorts of jobs, depending on their skills. It can be someone, like a PhD, or can be an engineer, or customer service, or admin, or bookkeeping, or anything can be. All sorts of careers, right?
Right. Now, with having obviously read your book on getting hired, it was full of all kinds of great advice. Actually, that when things were a little shaky with my day job for a bit, I actually kept a lot of those things in mind when I was when I was having to do a little bit of job searching. And a lot of that has continued to stay in mind while I tried to branch out this little side business that I've got going on. Now, what would you, especially after now having a couple of years experience under your belt after writing the book, what would you say is like the top 5 pieces of advice that you would give to anybody anywhere looking for a new job or even trying to start their own business?
Okay. I mean, obviously it's different when you set up your business than when you're looking for work, right? I think that if I talk about job specifics, I would say that first thing, like, you need to know what you want, right? And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes people, they jump and they just take a course, they spend lots of money, you know, and then they just feel like, oh, that's not what I expected. So just research, like very similar with the business. You need to research and see if it is for you, right? So
Mm-hmm.
what do you want? Then the second thing I would say, look at your existing skills, because most probably they're overlooked. So we think, oh, I just know computer and Office and Word, but like that's nothing. You, in order to work as an admin officer, probably I need to have a course. Not necessarily, you know. You do have, you know, you do need to have some credentials for depending the jobs and careers that you pick for yourself. But sometimes, you know, people are really willing to hire you just based on your skill set. And if you're able to, you know, like sell the best, which takes me to the third point, right? So you need to know how to sell yourself. Before even just like talking about resumes and stuff like this, you need to really have a good, you know, command of, you know, what can I do, right?
Right.
Confidence.
Yep.
And what am I good at? What are some of the things, you know, that people, they will pay for if you are thinking about a business, or even when you are thinking about a job, right? So both things, right?
Mm-hmm.
um Another definitely important things will be just like um, all the things that you are doing in terms of, you know, like your portfolio, like your resume, your cover letter. They, you know, if you're sloppy, if you don't have a good presentation of yourself,
Mm-hmm.
that will be kind of hard, right, to advertise. So you can say like, oh, I'm just very accurate in my work, right? You're an editor, so you can say like, I just, but then somebody reads your work and it's just full of like spelling mistakes, right?
That's not going to
So
go over well.
I know. So exactly, right? So I'm not saying that everyone has to have the same, but they might test you and then they might see right away that you are just not able actually to just do what you say that you are going to do because of your, you know, or you can say like, I'm highly organized. Like everyone just likes to say this, but then, you know, like your, you know, formatting skills, they're all over the place. So yeah. And the last thing, which sometimes it can be just the most and only important thing, right? Of course, like I just go with like to the book, you know, like first you need to know what you want and stuff like this. But what can really help you, I'm sure is the same thing in US, but in Canada, it's definitely networking and connecting with people.
Yep.
So I can say that my, you know, in business and in work, I always, you know, I feel grateful, and I always say that I owe everything that I've done to all the people around me. So it's not the one thing that, you know, oh, I can say that it's just me. You know, it's never just you. It's just like we are ignorant if you think that it's just you, right? All the other people. So networking, not in a sense of just taking advantage, networking in a sense of how can I contribute, right? What can I offer? What can I give?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so my business model, like I didn't come up with, I'm not this smart. Somebody help me, right? Somebody just like say, oh, check it out, the Kindle business model. What do you think about this? I'm doing now other like Amazon, you know, like selling products, or I'm opening my store. And, you know, how do I know all the things? Like just other people help me. So I do think that networking is the most important resource, and not even more beyond the resource thing that you can just like use it in your advantage for job and business, for sure. It
Yeah,
can change your life.
that is definitely at the top of the things that I kept in mind. As
Mm,
you know, is I've had to work on building my business, or again when I was trying to search for a job, and yeah, it is so much about the people that you know and every, you know, who do you know, where are they, where do they work, what do they do, and that really is important. There's there's tons of examples at my day job. I actually work at a power plant,
mhm.
and there's so many people there that know each other from school, or their family members or their friends, and it's like, yeah, kind of the mom and pop power plant here. It's kind of weird, but it's a perfect illustration of exactly what you're talking about. Who you know really does matter.
Now
And
they say that actually it just goes beyond to who you know. It's like who knows you,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And
good
who
point.
knows you means that, you know, like, yes, you might know, like I have like 200 contacts in my phone, right? But if I call them, do they know that, oh, it's Gabriela here, how can I help you, or something like this? Or just like, who is this? Like, it's Gabriela, do I know you? Right?
We met
So,
at a party 5 years ago. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. It is even more so than even about who you know. It's about the relationship you have with those people
Exactly,
more than
relationship,
anything
right?
else. And again, from your book, the importance of selling yourself, being able to do a good interview. Because let me tell you something, I interview terribly. Like naturally, my default setting is I am a lousy self promoter. I'm a total introvert by default. But reading that book helps, you know, kick me into gear. That it's like, oh, you know what? I actually need to. I need to really work on that. And even though it's not my default setting, if I want to get anywhere, I got to kind of get over that hurdle. Hurdle doesn't go away necessarily, but it gets easier to get over. If you know what I mean. And you know, even the last interview that I had, I made sure I did some role playing a little bit with actually my father-in-law, who used to be in charge of hiring people at a company. And you know, just ask me the questions that you would ask somebody that you might be hiring.
Oh,
and
you
that
want me to
actually
ask
helped.
you the questions, right?
Yeah.
Do you want me to ask you the questions?
No. I was saying, like that was the situation.
Oh, you were doing the role play. Okay.
Yes. No. We don't need to go through a pretend interview.
I can do
I'm sure
it.
that would be entertaining.
I can put you on the spot right now. I love
I'll
doing
bet you can. I have no doubt that you know all of the human performance questions. But yeah, and that really did help that side, the human performance, the relationship aspect of that interview, and actually another one that I had to do for my current position at my job just goes so much smoother than any interview I'd ever done. Like the last interview that I actually had to do, I killed it, knocked it out of the park. And it actually felt natural doing it. It was very strange.
Well, sometimes, it's just a good fit, right? So it's easy. It's not like a perfect type of interview. And I always say, interviewers, the person who is interviewing you, if it's not an HR, representative, so somebody who has like just doing just this, and then other like HR things. But there are just people like us who are probably Googling, what type of interview questions should I ask, then they just get a sense of who you are in the interview, and it's just more about you. Can you bring yourself to the interview? Can you just be authentic and just connect with them, and then inspire that you are reliable and you are honest and they can trust you, right?
Now, one of the things that I'm curious about, and that I notice a lot of people complaining about, that interviews now, they're never actually about the job. They're never about any technical aspect of the job at all. At least here. Is that the same situation going on in Canada right now, or?
Well, let me tell you something. I actually coached a couple of clients from US, and they were shocked that in Canada is like you were saying, right? And for us, it's like, oh yeah, it's just about the soft skills. So we call them the soft skills, which are your personality. And I think the reason these days is just because technology and everything is changing so fast, and it becomes easier and easier to grasp it. So it's not so, I'm not going to say like, oh, you want to become a doctor? Sure. Who cares about what you know, right? Of course you need to know things. But I'm talking about jobs, that might require a couple of months of on the job training or something like this. And people at the end of the day, they want to work with someone who has some like personality traits. And it's understandable, because at the end of the day, everyone wants to work with nice people, right?
Right.
Nobody wants to work with people who are negative, or just they don't have the right attitude, because they will just pull down the whole team, right? If they don't want to share, if they don't want to work in a team. So in Canada, it's the most important thing. And I can say, because in different countries and different cultures, it's actually the opposite, right? In Romania, nobody cares as much about your personality, but everyone cares about, your credentials, your technical skills. What can you do actually? How many software you know, right?
Mm-hmm.
And here people, they just look the opposite. Oh, it's like you have to have the skills for in order to be able to work, but what will give you the job and help you in the process will be actually your personality and your soft skills.
Because you can always learn the technical skills.
Well, yeah, of course, yeah.
And of course, you want somebody who has some already.
Yes.
But if it's like, okay, they're listed on the resume, they either know them, they either actually know them, or they don't, and you'll find that out soon enough.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned you're involved in some other projects. I believe I'm assuming that there are tons of other things, ideas flying through your head, because
all over the place.
anyone with the kind of entrepreneurial spirit that you've got ideas flying through your head constantly. So what else is going
on? Well, I find that like it's easier for me to say that I need to talk about like two separate aspects of my life, and one is related with career coaching, because I do love just coaching people and mentoring people, especially immigrants, getting the jobs. And so I do this on the side. Like I have a meetup which has more like 700 members, and I host a monthly meetup where I coach together with other friends, so and other career development practitioners. So we facilitate workshops about career coaching, anything related like job searching, cover letter, resume, and stuff like this. So that's one thing that I've been doing for the last 4 years. In the we had a couple of other like community projects where I was interviewing people, successful Canadian immigrants, sharing about their success and how did they end up getting in a short time amazing jobs, right? So what did they do, right? So we were looking to find and identify success steps. I also occasionally I'm like guest speakers for hiring fairs, or sometimes just short gigs for like different companies where I'm just like as a guest or as a speaker on job search topics, something like this. So that's one side that I've been just developing through the years, and I definitely it's almost like it's my passion. I can say that. And on the other side is more my entrepreneurial side. That's related with Kindle business, and now I'm selling products on Amazon. And also I'm opening my first online store, which is going to be a baby store. Kids store, actually, not just baby store. So I'm in process of just finishing my website and putting all together. And and also we are developing a new product, which that's the most exciting things.
Oh, really?
So yeah, I mean, lots of things happening. It's I think it's just like if I don't have things to do, I feel like bored. So I need to keep occupied, like you were saying, right? So you go to sleep at midnight, and yeah, but I love sleeping too. I don't have too much, but
sleeping would be wonderful, but then the ideas don't happen, right?
The ideas don't happen, and I think that for me, it's the entrepreneurial side for sure fulfills the opposite side, right? It's just that creativity and drive and the possibility of being financially independent and just creating more things, right? The social part, it's fulfilled for the ability of giving and helping people. And most of my projects I'm doing it for free on a volunteer base. So they kind of complement together. So it's just like makes together like a perfect heart.
Excellent. Now, you mentioned meetups. Explain what that is for those who don't know.
Sorry, what?
You mentioned you do these meetups. Well, I know
Meetup.
what that is, but not everybody knows about this.
All right. So I would say for anyone who wants to start networking for free and they don't know, maybe they're new in US or new to Canada or new to anywhere, Europe, they just moved, or they have a new hobby and they don't know actually, how to just develop or where to practice that. Meetup.com is the perfect place. So when I actually applied for a job facilitator position, because I didn't work at the beginning, when I started working, I just like had a different position, more like admin towards my field. So I just definitely wanted to become a facilitator. And the reason I was able to is because I just started my own meetup, and I was able, just to facilitate this type of workshops that, it's basically using the same skill that I will use in a classroom. So I will, I develop the skills through the meetup. So you can do both ways. So either you are the provider, so the one who organized the meetup. They say that you have a passion for editing or broadcasting, right? So you will start a meetup for people like you, and maybe provide workshop sessions, mini sessions for free, or you can charge if you want. So it's up to you. But it's like you find something that you're passionate about, and then you share, and people will join the meetup. And again, if you want to charge them money for the session, the workshop, some people they do that, go for it. If not, it's just going to be on a volunteer base, and then you start building up your your tribe, let's say like this.
Now,
so meetup is just like a place where people they meet to learn or share or just connect.
Oh yeah, and I've looked at it, and there are tons of groups even in my area, which is a relatively small town and everything. There aren't any massive population centers until you get a couple hours away, and even around here, there's actually plenty of meetups that go on like within a 15-minute or hour drive, like all the time. So wherever you are in the world, you can probably go to meetups.com and you can find something. Some sort of support group for whatever it is that your passion is, whether you're a writer, an editor, a crafter. They're all over the place. Literally, if you can think of a group, it's out there.
Yeah, cooking, like hiking, anything, I mean, like they're very popular in Canada, especially in Vancouver, because it's a big city and it's multicultural. So sometimes, it's easy for people just to meet like this, to meet up, right? And it's not a dating site. So sometimes people, they just are concerned, is this for dating? No. It can be if you want.
That's the other group down the street.
Yeah.
Okay, now before we wrap up, I want to kind of go back to the Kindle business a little bit. Now, how often would you say that you actually get an ebook put out there?
Well, at the beginning, lots, like 5 a week.
Wow.
Right, something like this. Lately, I've been not publishing as much.
Okay.
So I'm just focusing on, I enjoy the passive income that I created, and I enjoy just like, I think it's time for me to move forward.
Gotcha. Now, are you going to, now by move forward, do you mean just move on to something else entirely, or branching that business out, or?
Yeah, I'm just branching it out.
Branching it out. Okay. Yeah. I'm curious. Can you share what you might be branching it out to?
Well, I mean, basically you can sell everything that you have, if that's, you can sell them. But I'm still I'm still debating, because it's just you create for yourself like a passive income, and it's okay, right? So nobody's like, when you have a book, that's the beauty, right? When the difference between having a book and having a product, right? So the product, it's, like if you don't have it in the store, that's it. You have 150 products, you sell 150 50 products. If you want more, you need to have more products, right?
Mm-hmm.
With the Kindle business or any type of book, any publisher, you have a book, and then there's no, it's an infinite number of books that you can sell.
That's
Especially,
true. That's true.
even if both, right? So the hard copy or the electronic versions on Kindle. So that's a really good model. But what I want to say mostly, I'm not interested in continue because it's very competitive these days.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh, yeah.
I think it's just like like every good thing, it's sometimes you need to shift and just to start looking for new opportunities, right? So
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like, it's what I have so far. It's great, but I'm just not going to continue on this path probably.
Okay. Yeah. Well, hey, that makes sense. If it's not working out, and not to mention, it's not necessarily a creative outlet for you.
Yeah.
So I totally get that. It's like it's a creative outlet for others, but not necessarily for you in what you're looking for.
Exactly.
Now, for those who are interested in going into that, now you said it's actually pretty easy to get it going, and you went about choosing topics and everything. You did a lot. You did a lot of research on like what was trending and everything in the news or on Amazon at the time. Is that correct?
Yes, I did, of course. So I was like that's the main thing. But that's so depending on what is everyone. So if we are talking about like publishers, right, or we are talking about people who wants to write and sell their books, go for it. But before writing a book, you want to make sure, if it's especially it's not like nonfiction, so you want to make sure that people, they're really interested in buying that book, because you may be very disappointed. You wrote an amazing, extraordinary book, worth like $1 million, but nobody will buy it, right? Because nobody knows about that.
And if
So
no one
it's a
buys
lot
it, it's
about
not worth
like
anything.
these days, how you market your book, how you like, do people, they really are interested in buying that type of book. But I think it's an amazing tool for anyone, especially if you have some ideas or you want to test, or you already have a group of customers that for sure that they are going to buy your book. And I can say, so I helped my father publish his book. He's the cartoonist. There are just a few cartoonists in Canada, actually, so he's one of them. Still doing this drawing, and he's super talented. And he published his book like last year. And it was amazing, right? So he was able to put it on Kindle, and he was able to put it, just print the hard copies, and now he can sell it, in a store, in a bookstore. And yeah, I mean, that gives
that's great. What's the name? What's the name of the book?
Let me show you. I will lie, but I don't know.
Okay, fair enough. Don't worry, everybody. She's going to be right back after this brief message from our non-existent sponsors.
Okay.
So y'all just hold on there just a second. Here we are.
It's called Pencil Down.
Very cool.
Yeah. And somewhere my name is here too.
Cool. That's awesome. So so that's available on Amazon.
Yeah, you can find it on Amazon, on Kindle. But this book, because it's just with drawings and cartoons, and it's pretty hilarious, actually. It's all about pencils. You can actually buy it like the hard copy, because it's just like different when you actually look at the pages and you understand everything, all the jokes inside, and then when you just read it on Kindle. So I think it's, as a format, it's much more appropriate, the hard copy. So that's something that for my dad was never possible, because he thought that you need to have like really good money to publish your own book.
Right.
So like I have other friends that they write courses for people, and they say like, oh yeah, but like I don't have like thousands of dollars, just to publish my own booklet, with courses and stuff. And I say like, you don't have to, you just actually, you are going to get paid, for doing this. It's free to set up an account.
You already have a computer.
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
Good.
Right. So I think, and it's an amazing opportunity for self-publishers, to be honest.
Now, I'm curious, and just a question before we do wrap things up here. Now, your hiring book, did you ever consider trying to get that published traditionally at all?
No.
No, you always intended. I'm going straight to self-publishing.
Yes, and especially because I have another friend that he published, he actually went to like a traditional editing company, and he was charged over $2,000 for his book. I don't even think that he actually sold all the books in the world to cover this cost. And actually they didn't do an amazing job. So I recommended, saying like, oh my God, Eric, you are amazing. And I just loved, your work, because not just the integrity and everything that you showed, and you just like put your heart, right?
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Makes a difference for people like me who really need somebody, like need help. And, it's beyond the skills. It's what do you really want to help that person, right? So somebody knows, right? If they read the book. So, yeah, I mean, I found you, so I didn't have to pay $2,000.
Yeah, I think I'm a little bit cheaper than that. Well, great. And let me just say again before we wrap things up, the last couple of years working with you and everything have been actually a lot of fun. I've learned a lot because almost every single guidebook has been a learning experience for me, as well as hopefully anyone who's actually bought it and read it. And I am actually a much more knowledgeable person. Especially, I've learned a lot to help me get going in my own business a little bit. And
that's amazing.
It continues.
That's amazing. If you can use that, so you are working on something, and then you are able to use it, for growing yourself, all the knowledge. So you're not just like, okay, I just like not going to consider anything. It's just like for somebody else, but you can apply everything. That's pretty amazing.
Oh yeah. Any chance I get to do two things at once like that, it's always a bonus. Now, before we leave, where can people find you?
Yeah, that's a good question. So definitely, for the immigrants, clients that I have, they can find me through Meetup. My name and everything is published over there. So the easiest way, or LinkedIn, right? Which so more like professional. Business side, it's kind of complicated, right? When you have business, it's complicated to find you, right? As a person, so they can find all the other information. So yeah, basically Meetup and LinkedIn, pretty transparent. If anyone wants to, like send me a message or they have any questions related to online business. And I'm also learning now, so I'm in the learning process. I feel like I always learn something. And I do have ideas, I admit, but I'm, sometimes, some things they don't work, and then you move forward and then you try something else, whatever works for you, right?
Right.
But I'm just like more than happy to share my experience with anyone, and everything that I learned so far. Yeah, I would just definitely enjoy doing that.
Okay, great. And we've mentioned it a number of times, but what is the actual title of your hiring book for anyone who is interested in learning the same lessons that I've learned?
Okay, how to find a job in Canada, and actually 10 steps how to find a job in Canada.
Okay, and again, much of the lessons, much of the advice, they apply universally.
Yes,
need not be Canada. The specific resources.
I just Canada because North America, I just wanted to make it more targeted for my clients, right?
Well, and there's a lot of resources that are specific to Canada.
Yes, and there are resources exactly specific for Canada, but the system is not very different between in North America. I would say it's exactly like you're saying, the same. The interview tips and everything that I share there, I had people coming and they were saying like, oh yeah, I just been, the same, I had this type of interview. And it's just the culture, it's very similar, so it applies. I'm not sure if the same things will apply for somebody to Europe, to be honest. It's just different in Europe.
Fair enough. You,
so,
especially I always
coming from there or Asia, I know that they definitely have a different interview setting process, and the job search, it's different. It's more specific to that particular, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fair. So yeah,
so it's for North America.
Yeah, U.S., Canada. The advice and everything is it will work for you. It's like I already said, I've benefited. Yeah, words are hard sometimes. I benefited from it personally, and it's one of the things that now backs up, kind of forms the background that keeps kind of pushing me onward, even when you get to those times when you're just tired and ready to cash it in. But on that note, again, Gabriela, I can't thank you enough for coming on and letting me interview you today. And again, look for her on LinkedIn, look for her on meetups.com. You can find me at Gingerman Editorial on Twitter and gingermaneditorial.com on the web. And look for me. I'll be out there. The podcast, Coffee Books Repeat, is available on YouTube, SoundCloud, and iTunes. We'll be looking at other options in the near future. And until next time, be well, keep drinking coffee, and keep reading.